Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. Let's see. Bridge MCP is in the house from Binghamton, New York. We also have in the house on our Facebook chat. Lee Grant is in the house from Montgomery County. May Wood from Long Beach, California. Yvette Avery Herod from Atlanta, Georgia. We also have Michael Rutnen, AVQ from Brooklyn, New York. Where are all the rest of my peeps? I can see people are still getting in. How's everybody doing? Are you all ready for the DNC tonight? I can't wait to hear what Brother Biden is going to say, how he's going to have the send off. What are your thoughts? Let me hear what you're thinking. Let me hear what you believe, what you think's going to happen. I think it's going to be just right. I think he's going to do just a good job, and I think he's going to handle it just fine. What's your thought? Anybody want to give me a call and tell me what they think? You know what the number is, 281-823-7747. Again, that number is 281-823-7747. Let's see, audio a little bit low. I think it may be just you, but Bridge, is the audio also low for you or what? Actually, no, Lee Grant. It's not there was no less commotion at the Republican convention. There was a whole lot. Now, if you watch Fox News, you're going to see mostly the riot, not the rioting, but they're going to try to make the protests, which are very peaceful, look like it's like it's a riot. But that's not what it is. If you take a look at the news right now, you can see how peaceful the protests are. So let's be clear here, people. Don't let Fox News fool you. Don't let OAN fool you. Don't let all these other stations fool you and lie to you, because that's what they do best. Lie, lie, and lie. Okay, what have we got here? Let's see. Eric continues posting from SHIT Rag Daily Wire. I mean, he believes it. For some reason, I tell you what, you know what we should do? Let's go ahead and maybe this will help Eric, right? If we go to, what is it called again? Daily something. Daily Wire. Daily Wire fact check, okay? Let's just do a Daily Wire fact check. Let's just help him out there, okay? Let's do a Daily Wire. Let's see, fact check. I have a site that I normally do my fact checks at. Let's see. Well, that's not where I want to go. Daily Wire. I tell you what, I'll find it after this other video. But if you put a Daily Wire thing here and expect anybody to look at it sensibly, you can forget it, Eric. Daily Wire is a lying rag. It will have nobody will take any wordiology out of Daily Wire seriously. Michael Rudnin is absolutely right. It is a joke. It is designed to promote the feeble-minded people, what they call it is the information source of what they call the low information reader. Okay? The low information reader, the people that don't know how to go ahead and fact check, that's who Daily Wire is designed for. I mean, they don't tell you that on the site, but they talk about it in the progressive spaces and in the other spaces. All right, Bruce Pollard is in the house. He said, "Good day. Let's quit with Trump foolishness and start trying to enhance Kamala's plank." I hope you guys saw my blog that I wrote today. I actually wrote a blog that differentiated between the tip policy that Trump is trying to make believe that Harris stole from, and I gave a nice long article that I wrote on that. Everybody needs to read it. It differentiates the two policies, and let me go ahead and pull that up for you guys. Let me go ahead and put it on the screen as well. All right, and the title of that blog is "Who is the Copycat?" Kamala Harris' tip policy wasn't a Trump ripoff. It prevents billionaires from screwing us again. And that whole article, you can read it at either at my website or at my Substack. It's probably easier to read at my Substack. Let me go ahead and get that to the Substack, and then we'll take it from there. I'll put the Substack link in there so that you guys can see it. Bear with me one quick second as I get to the appropriate Substack dashboard. I go to the link, and here's the article. Anybody who wants to be informed, there is the article. Let me put it. Let me get it without that. There it is. That is the article that you can go to learn about the differences. And we're going to be talking policy over and over again. All right, and I also have a policy document from Common Dreams that I'm going to go through with you guys in a little bit. But let's see. So we also have Lee Grant in from Montgomery County. We also have, let's see who else just joined us. I think I saw somebody else. Bruce Pollard says, "Are you going to straighten Sandy out?" Actually, I replied to your email. Again, I don't. All he's going to think about is that money thing, guy. I don't think he's going to. You would have to give him several $1,000s for him to say, "Okay, I'll go ahead and do that." All right. Here it's from Bridge MCP. We have an interesting thing. It says, "MAGA, food costs too much because of Biden and Harris. It's their fault because they are communists. Harris, we have a plan to help lower food prices. Biden and Harris interfering, MAGA, Biden and Harris interfering with the business is communism." That is the ridiculousness that we have to deal with, for which then we're told, forget about what these people say and just do what's right for the American people. But anyway, I think everybody by now has heard that our brother Phil Donahue was a good progressive. Back in the day, he did a lot of stuff, if you will. Well, I was at a Houston Peace and Justice Center event this weekend, and one of our activists out there, supporter of KPFT, supporter of Houston Peace and Justice Center, was out there. And just in passing, he was like, I worked on corporal punishment, how to abolish it in Texas and other places, or we wanted to abolish it in Texas and other places. And, many of the radio stations, TV stations found me, and eventually Phil Donahue called him up, and he went and did a show on Phil Donahue. So in commemoration of Phil Donahue's death, I said, you know what? I should talk to Jimmy Dunne and put Jimmy Dunne on. So here we have our first interview of the day, actually the only interview of the day, with Jimmy Dunne. And Jimmy had a little thing with interview. I couldn't find the actual interview footage. It happened, I think, in the 90s. So I don't even know how much of it has been brought to the scene. But let's go ahead and listen to the interview, and then we'll take it on the other side. Welcome to another edition of Politics and Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Today I have a very special guest. Specifically, today, or recently, I don't know if it's today, yesterday, or what, Phil Donahue, that great host, progressive host that the women simply loved, he passed away at the early age of 88 years old. And as a member of the Peace and Justice Center, just recently, we had a mixer where we brought a whole lot of groups together. And Jimmy Dunne, who is here with us. Welcome to Politics Done Right, Jimmy Dunne.
Hi, Berto. Good to see you again.
Well, this Saturday we were talking, and just in passing, he was telling his story about being on the Phil Donahue show, talking about education and corporal punishment, etc. And lo and behold, Phil Donahue dies, want to talk a little bit about some memories here. First of all, Phil, tell us a little bit about you. Jimmy, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a retired middle school math teacher. I had a few other jobs too with state agencies like the Texas Employment Commission and the Texas Department of Health. But I've always been somewhat of an activist, and I was a teacher at Black Junior High School in 1961. We had corporal punishment then, and I did some of it myself. And then I started wondering, why are we doing this? And about 6 or 8 years later, when I was teaching at Lincoln Middle School, I formed this organization, People Opposed to Paddling Students or POPs. And that's why I got invited to be on the Phil Donahue show and these other national TV shows like Good Morning America and the Shirley Show, even up in Toronto, and 3 more. But I've been working on this issue. And incidentally, the Texas legislature has never abolished corporal punishment. They just wouldn't do it. And so it's still legal in Texas, but the big cities have all banned it. And all those small towns sometimes show up with the paddle because they don't pay much attention to what the big city schools are doing. But it's clearly child abuse, at least big bruises on children's buttocks. And I have a lot of pictures of that parents have sent me. But it's gone now in 31 states and hopefully gone forever.
Now you're instrumental. How did they find you? Did you make the local paper and they picked it up, or what happened?
Yeah, I think when I formed the organization, People Opposed to Paddling Students, and also there was radio talk shows that I would call into and discuss it then. So I got picked up, and I was on quite a few local radio talk shows and local TV shows, and then the national shows also.
Okay, so then that's when they called you. Now, what was it like being on the? How did you find Phil Donahue when you spoke to him?
Well, I was on his show. They fly me up to these shows or wherever they are in New York or whatever, and put me on the air. And they had a couple of other guests there, and they discussed the issue. I don't remember too much about it, but then he also would get the audience to ask their questions too. And so he brought the audience in, and he asked questions, and we just discussed the issue, for about an hour.
And did you have fun then, or did you find him to be that real exciting guy you normally saw on TV all the time?
Oh, yeah, it was very exciting. He had a most popular show on the air, I think, at that time. It was a daytime TV talk show, and he was a popular host, and he had all kinds of issues, and it was really watched by a lot of people, I think, especially women, according to what the New York Times said about it. So it was a very popular now.
Well, let me show the audience a picture of you with Donahue and some other guests on the show that day. Check this out, guys. This is Jimmy Dunne. Jimmy Dunne is still as handsome as he always been, isn't he? Oh yeah, but good. Hey, but first of all, it was great seeing you at the Houston Peace and Justice Center meetup, and like I said, it's amazing how this happened. May Phil Donahue rest in peace. But again, I found it that, we always talk about 6 degrees of separation, how close things are. Here it is that Phil Donahue dies. It turns out that just this weekend at an activist event, we were talking about you having your activist event to get rid of paddling, and he's in the news again. Let me see that paddle that you guys used to use.
Yeah, this is actually a former baseball bat that somebody made into a paddle. It was shaved down and put some tape around it, and it was a paddle. Now, I made this other one with our logo on it here.
Paddling is child abuse. I love that. Paddling is child abuse. And that was a paddle. That is what they did to your kids. And in Texas, it is still legal. Yes. Now, let me ask you something. You said that most of the big cities have outlawed paddling, but you said Texas's constitution, Texas's law did not. Does that mean that though the local jurisdiction would they supersede the state jurisdiction if a teacher paddled a student?
Um, yeah, it's apparently still legal in Texas because the Texas legislature has never passed a law banning it. So it's still legal. But in my eyes, it's child abuse. It's clearly child abuse. So I think if it goes on in a school, the police should go in there and arrest the paddlers and the principal who are allowing this to happen. You're hitting kids with boards that leave big bruises on their buttocks. So there's no doubt about it. There's child abuse, and child abuse is against the law. So they could just use that law to say, stop this, but they won't do it. If the school system feels like it's legal, the police won't go in there and touch it.
You know, you just made a lot of sense. I mean, paddling is child abuse. If a parent paddle a kid, they would probably be taken down for child abuse. And, you know, I mean, usually there's something good then, of me having you on today after the passing of our friend Phil Donahue, and that we get a chance to talk about right here in Texas, paddling is still legal. And I think you told me in several other states, paddling kids in schools are still legal.
Yeah, there's a state representative in Austin from Houston, a black lady who was a former teacher and a principal, I believe. And she's been on the legislature for quite a few years, and she's introduced bills at every session to abolish it. Her name doesn't come to me right now.
Right.
But she's still offering bills to abolish it, but they have never abolished it. And sometimes the Education Committee doesn't even bring it up for a hearing. So the chairman of the Education Committee has a lot to do with suppressing a law like this.
Well, Jimmy Dunne, look, it's been a pleasure having you on. Is there anything you want to say before we close this session?
Well, I want to encourage other people to be active on issues that they feel are important. Like I'm also interested now in reforming solitary confinement in Texas schools. We have people in solitary in Texas for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Dennis Hope was in solitary for 27 years.
I think you mean jail. I mean, prisons.
Yeah, well, solitary confinement in prison, yeah. And it's several Supreme Court justices have made statements about how solitary drives people crazy. You're locked up in a cell for 23 hours a day, nobody to talk to. It drives people nuts. So I urge more people, and especially our Texas legislature, to work on that issue and try to reform it and limit solitary confinement to about 15 days, which is what the UN recommends.
Jimmy Dunne, a corporal punishment activist, a prison reform activist, and an activist of every stripe, member of the Houston Peace and Justice Center. Thank you so kindly for having been on Politics Done Right.
Hey, Berto, thanks for having me on, and keep up your good work on KPFT, discussing very important issues.
Thank you. That was Jimmy Dunne, who was on Phil Donahue. I am going to talk about the DNC, my dear brother Rudnin. However, the reason why I wanted to bring Jimmy Dunne on, I called him up today as soon as I heard about the Phil Donahue death, and he sent me a stuff with a picture that he did with Phil Donahue. Again, they were we are activists, right? And he actually did something of importance, which was to try to stop the paddling of kids. And there's that picture that I have on the screen now that shows good old Jimmy on the left-hand side. You see there with on the left-hand side with Phil Donahue and the others. So yeah, he was a handsome young man. I told him he hasn't changed all that much. He hasn't changed all that much. Anyway, let's go ahead and get busy now with the other subject at hand, and then I'm going to give you another video now. This video is going to be about Billy Graham's daughter, who actually is an evangelical woman who came out strongly. Well, I tell you what, let me go ahead and let you guys hear it, and then we'll take it on the other side. Well, it is starting to happen. You know how it starts with a snowball? Gets a small snowball, and as it rolls down the hill, it acquires more snow, more momentum. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger until it finally crashes in and it's a big ball to destruction. Well, I mean, the evangelical movement, for a long time, we've been saying that how can the movement that represents Jesus Christ align itself with Donald Trump? We had Frank Schaeffer, the son of one of the founders of the right, come out with several books really hitting the right because of how corrupt it has really gotten. We take a look at how they have a support for Trump, who's a rapist, who is a thief, who is a xenophobe, sexist, you name it. No one can understand why they support him. Why is it that these guy leaders so often support him? Well, slowly people are moving on, and you know what? With the Harris campaign and evangelicals for Harris taking shape, we have one prominent person, another prominent person that made her voice heard using her name that is powerful in the evangelical movement, and that's none other than the granddaughter of Billy Graham. I mean, her name is I don't know how to pronounce her name very well. It's Jerusha Duford. Jerusha Duford, who is Billy Graham's daughter. I want you to listen to what she have to say, and then we'll take it on the other side.
My name is Jerusha Duford, and I'm grateful to have an opportunity to join you tonight. Thank you to everyone who joined this call to discuss a pivotal point in our country's future. You know, I was thinking this morning that if you told me 10 years ago that I would be taking an active role in politics, I'd have laughed. But then I had to stop and realize this is so much more than politics. My role began in 2016 when a man bragged about assaulting women. Various leaders of my faith then propped up this man as a poster boy for godly manhood and leadership. This broke my heart as I have watched, quite frankly, for the last 8 years, people who were curious about Jesus and his teachings done a 180 and walked in the other direction from my faith. Isaiah talks about an oak whose leaves wither and a garden going without water. These things happen slowly, over time. First, people professing the Lord made excuses for the lack of kindness. Then for the name calling. Soon it was making excuses for assault. Then it became making excuses for January 6th and now making excuses for convicted assault and 34 felonies. The oak leaves don't wither overnight, and I'm terrified to think of how far this turning our head the other way and making excuses will take our country, but more importantly, our witness to the world. One of my grandfather's favorite verses was Micah 6:8. What an incredible reminder of what the Lord requires of us: to do justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly. I've always stated that my president doesn't have to be a Christian, but I am and will be watching for my faith leaders support actions that reflect mercy, justice, and humility, and for my faith leaders to rebuke actions that are the antithesis of that. Voting Kamala for me is so much greater than policies. It's a vote against another 4 years of faith leaders justifying the actions of a man who destroys the message Jesus came to spread. And that is why I get involved in politics. I'm a therapist, and I try to leave my clients with what I call committed action steps. And the following are the ones I'd love for you to take with me. First, pray. Pray for the faith leaders in our country to take a stand for justice, mercy, and humility. Second, pledge. Take the Evangelicals for Harris pledge on our website, evangelicalsforharris.com. And lastly, service. Go perform actions of service in your neighborhood or community, and then come back and share your story with the Evangelicals for Harris campaign. Thanks for listening to me.
I don't think it could be any clearer. I like the way she went after all those false prophets, and she actually used Isaiah, a book in the Bible, to make the case. You know, a lot of these guys would like to make Trump into their second Messiah, and somehow having been saved from an assassination attempt even was a signal that showed that this guy was the prophet of God. That's what some of them believe, that he has free reign. People. Your pastors were paid a good sum to keep you guys completely completely fooled and going against everything you believe in. Good job. Very good job, Miss Duford. I think people like you, as more of you come out, it will make a difference. It will absolutely make a difference. It will absolutely make a difference. Well, Bridge MCP says, did Taylor Swift just tease her support for Kamala Harris? That is exactly what she did. A shadowy figure on Instagram has the Swifties in a political uproar. Taylor Swift's cryptic Instapic sends Swifties into a political tailspin. That is her testing the waters. That is her testing the waters. And actually, I think she's going to come out full fledged. And they should all support for the sake of the country. Everybody that has a brain should come out in support of Harris and make it very clear that what they're doing. I mean, this for those who are evangelicals, listen to what that piece that I just did had to say. It just proves the the sickness, the sickness of that the MAGA movement that supports Donald Trump, that thuggish thief, right? But let's do this. I mean, there is a video I want you guys to see. Let me see if I can get it played. I may have to adjust a few things. Let's see. Going to ask that we bow our heads in prayer. God remembers. God remembers our sins. He sees our lying and our cheating. All right. Wait a minute. I think that is picking up the wrong audio. So I'm going to try this again. I may have missed something here in my setup. So I am going to try it again. And I think I can do it. Let's see if I go here and I put the monitor on and I'll be quiet. Our sins. He sees our lying and our cheating and our corruption. And the scripture says, be sure your sin will find you out. He was a playboy. He loved ease and he loved pleasure. And the Bible says, woe to them that are at ease. If you don't support me, you're going to be so god poor, you're not going to believe it. The events of this past year. Coronavirus. You pretty much shut it down. Coming in from China. And the events of this present hour. They are dying. That's true. And it is what it is. Would indicate to me that we're already experiencing judgment upon. Okay, let's see. Let bear with me one second because I want you guys to hear this one and I want you guys to hear this one good. Let me see if I can figure out what is the oh yeah, okay, it's really low. So what I need to try to do is I need to try to get it played through the actual audio select. So let me see if I can do that. That's probably going to be, let's see, not default, but speaker. Let me see if this is going to work here. Let's see if this one here works. Let's see. In prayer. That one didn't work either. God remembers. All right. Okay. Let give me 10 seconds here. Let me see if I put the monitor on with that. I think that'll work. All right, look, I'm having problems with that. I can't get it to work. I can't. I'm going to have to figure out how to get these things to play sometimes. All right, I'll see if I get that ready for tomorrow. But what I'll do in the interim is I'll give you guys the actual. I think I can give you the actual piece to it that you can actually go ahead and look at the link. There you go. That's a link. Let's see. If you Egberto, on the right side of the video slide the sound to max. Yeah, I think it's not that. I think it's something else. It's my fault. I have to figure out how to pipe it to the right channel. Uh, the speakers are, yeah, the speakers are not there, Vidij. But anyhow, ugh, I hate not being able to play that one. I wanted to play that one. I got to figure out how to do it. All right. All right. That's okay. That's okay. Let me go ahead and start reading your comments. Michael says, I had completely missed the news. People, Phil Donahue was the first TV host to feature someone with AIDS, all about the late star's groundbreaking moment, remembering Phil Donahue's groundbreaking talk show following his death on Sunday. Yeah, I mean, Phil Donahue was a great guy. To put it bluntly, y'all can argue with me on this point, but I know Oprah was the sort of the up and coming star that sort of took him out of the market, but I thought that he was a bit more substantive, uh, and maybe that's why he didn't make it because he was a bit more substantive. I could be wrong. If anybody wants to dispute that, let me know. But that's my kind of thought. Okay. All right, let's see here. Allison Dreams is at the house. Welcome, Allison. Allison Dreams, or actually, it's Alisarin Dreams in the house. I saw somebody. I saw Daigle, Gene Daigle, as well in the house. Welcome, Gene Daigle. What else have we got here? Okay, let me go ahead and read your comment. Gene Daigle to Eric. Did you take middle school and high school civics, U.S. government? Did you pass? Do we have a dictator? Do we have three separate but equal branches of government? What schoolhouse runs? How Bill? I wonder sometimes, to become a citizen of the United States, I had to take a test. And I had to take a test that I was proficient in all the laws of the United States. When I say all the laws, the basic laws of government, both federal and state. It's amazing. Uh, that the same people that would attack those of us that are immigrants don't know about the Constitution proper, right? All right, let's see what else we got here. Lee Grant says the irony is that schools won't paddle a child, but they will assist in Man, those people really have you obsessed with trans, eh? Go ahead and pick every school in the United States and see how many trans are in every school. It's inconsequential, and you guys put so much effort into it. Come on, Lee Grant, don't let them fevilize your mind, my brother. Don't let them fevilize your mind like that. You know, come on, toughen up, toughen up. All right, Alice Siren Dream says, I don't think those are the only choices. Suspending works, detention. Yeah, I mean, paddling. I don't put it this way. I wouldn't want my kid being paddled. And I tell you better, I don't expect our society is probably going to treat just like the criminal justice system is biased, the educational system and discipline is biased. So I would not want a kid, any teacher putting their hands on my kid at all. None whatsoever. All right, let's see. We've known that evangelicals were since 88% of them voted for the pedophile Roy Moore back in 2017. Yeah, but that was Mississippi evangelicals or Alabama, one or the other. History News Network from 2014. For those who have traded faith for power, there is a come you pence ahead. I agree. All right, let's see. Gene Daigle says, "Can you imagine a Taylor Swift and Beyonce campaign concert? Epic, much better than Kid Rock and Ted Nugent." That's a good one. That's a very good one. You're right on that one. You're right on that one. Alice Dream says, of course she will. She was publicly outraged about our health care taken away. Two women have ectopic pregnancy in Texas. Now tragic. It's shameful. It's shameful what they're doing. Paul Fleming says, according to the U.S. Bureau of Economic Analysis, the real gross domestic product of the United States increased by 2.8% annually in the second quarter of 2024. Comparing to the first quarter, this is based on advanced estimates and current dollar GDP increased by 5.2% annually, or $360 billion, a 28.63 trillion. We do have the best GDP in the world. Yes, we do. And we've known that for quite some time. It's just that the Democrats don't push that message enough, and Republicans lie about the message. When Trump says, I had the best economy in the world, it's actually the biggest lie in the world. And I did some videos on that, and I did some charts on that. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Uh, from A Golf Twitler. Regulations on corporate price gouging, student debt relief, reproductive rights, first time home buyer, child tax credits, checks and balances on the White House, and judicial blunt policy. Yep, I agree. Billy Allison Irwin is in the house. The right has all the dorky former celebrities on their side. Yep, we know. We know. We know. That's why the word was apropos. What's the word, guys? Weird. Weird. All right, let me address something, Eric. First, you like to bring stuff from what's that funny part name? That group's name? Daily Wire. Look at the Daily Wire. Okay? It's not mostly factual. It is mixed. All right, which means they may drop a few AP news stories, which is factual, but then they fill it up with crap. They try to do this mixed stuff to give it a semblance. Again, I repeat, they do this mixed stuff to give it a semblance of, you know, of credibility. So there you go. That you have Daily Works has a terrible reputation. Let's look at yours truly. You are now listening to Politics Done Right. And look at Politics Done Right. What's the factual basis? High. So then who do you believe? Daily Wire that lies to you, that gets paid to lie to you? Or Politics Done Right that is rated high? Huh? And the only reason it wasn't rated very high is because it's not in the middle. It has a political slant. So there you go. It's a lie what you constantly bring, and no videos that are doctored are just as lying. All right, Gene Daigle says regarding the current state of the economy, the media does not push the message enough. Lots of coverage when the number trends go down. That is because the media is owned by the corporatocracy, and they don't want to show that progressive policies work. I mean, I hate to say it. It's all doctored, it's all cooked, right? So we have to put that message out. That's why we do what we do. And that's why I always tell you guys, you need to support Politics Done Right, both here at my station here, as well as at KPFT. We need full support. Egberto, this show isn't factual. It's all opinion. Nope, nope, nope. I have a lot of opinions, but all my opinions are fact based. I repeat, all my opinions are fact based. That's why you are unable to credibly ever once come up and say, Egberto, you're wrong about X, Y, and Z. That's all. See, Sek, I know you've tried. You've tried many times, failed every time. All right, let's see. Bridge MCP says entertainment for DNC is still not now. It's still not known. I hope Swift shows up Wednesday when she is free, but it would have to be announced if she's going to. She would make all the young watch. Well, we don't know. Kamala is proven to be a hell of a campaigner and a very smart one at that. So whoever is helping Kamala with these things they're doing a very good job. They're doing a very good job. Okay, I think it's time for me to go to the important stuff about the Kamala's policies, which is what somebody asked before, and it goes like this: amid the GOP freakout, experts say Harris is exactly right to target price gouging. This is a common sense set of policies, said Lindsay Owens of the Groundwork Collaborative. We need a new ban at the federal level. I agree 100%. The executive director of a leading progressive think tank said in an appearance on CNBC Monday that Democratic nominee Kamala Harris is exactly right to target corporate price gouging as part of the broader economic agenda, countering a flurry of bad faith attacks on the proposals from economists, pundits, Republican lawmakers, and GOP presidential nominee Donald Trump. And it's not only Republicans, it is also Democratic economists, which is pathetic. This is not price controls. Lindsay Owens of the Groundwork Collaborative said of Harris' proposed crackdown on food and grocery corporations that exploit emergencies such as coronavirus pandemic to jack up prices. Owens stressed that some 40 U.S. states, including Republican-dominated Texas, have laws in place to prevent corporate price gouging in times of crisis and point out that Trump, who described Harris' plan as full communist, used the Defense Production Act in an effort to prevent price gouging of medical supplies during COVID-19 pandemic. This stuff drives you crazy. Trump used a non-gouging policy and he's then calling her a communist, right? Ah, the American Bar Association noted that the Trump administration turned to the DPA due to the lack of comprehensive federal legislation addressing price gouging. Owens went on to observe that federal jury recently found Cal-Maine Foods Inc. and other major egg suppliers guilty of conspiring to limit egg supply in the U.S. in order to keep prices elevated. Cal-Maine came under fire last year for posting a massive profit surge that the company blamed on disruption caused by a bird flu outbreak, which was a lie. So this is a common sense set of policies. Owens said of Harris' proposed federal ban on price gouging in the grocery and food sectors. We need a new ban at federal level on the books. When you do that, it's collusion, right? Think about this. The same way they use the flu to justify, oh, there's a shortage of eggs, but then you find out it's collusion. It's the same thing the guys use for oil, trying to blame Russia for an oil shortage that never existed. You see? But they think we're stupid. And they think we're stupid because our brothers and sisters like Mike Cisak give them a pass. Mike Cisak says, who will determine if price is gouging or not? It's not difficult to figure that out at all, especially in times of AI. But it's not even difficult by tacitly looking. If you hear Saudi Arabia taking 2 million barrels of oil off the market a day, if you hear that Russia is selling oil to India and China at a discount, and India and China are buying less oil off of the Western market, there's an oil glut. And to solve that oil glut, Saudi Arabia removed 2 million barrels of oil a day. But somehow, for the longest time, the prices stayed high. That's price gouging. That's the definition of stealing your money legally. So you ask, how can we define price gouging? It's not at all difficult. It is very easy to determine when you're being affected by a price gouge. No doubt whatsoever. Billy Allison Irwin says exactly the way it is. They freaked out. They failed to see that Trump has lost voters since the last election he lost. I have GOP friends who will not be turning out for him. I have a lot of GOP friends who are not turning out for Trump. And it's not only that they're not turning out for Trump, they're actually going to turn out for Harris. It's amazing, right? Anyway, Owen stressed that some 40 U.S. states, including Republican-dominated Texas, have laws in place to prevent corporate price gouging in times of crisis, and pointed out that Trump, who described Harris' plan as full communist, used the Defense Production Act. Yes, he did. The American Bar Association noted that Trump administration turned to the DPA. Yes, they did. All right, continuing. Owens went on to observe that a federal jury, I read that part already. Continuing, Matt Stoller, Director of Research of American Economic Liberties Project, applauded Owens for citing actual evidence of price gouging by egg producers, including that they were culling their flocks during a shortage to hike prices. Imagine that evidence, Stoller wrote on social media. Owens' remarks came from CNBC anchor Joe Kernan and Stephen Moore, an economic advisor to Trump and a senior visiting fellow at the Heritage Foundation. The far-right group spearheading Project 2025 spent several minutes attacking Harris' proposed federal price gouging ban as a violation of Economics 101, and that's a stupid statement, and a real assault on the whole free enterprise system. This don't corrupt free enterprise with capitalism. All right? Do not corrupt free enterprise with capitalism. They are not the same. They are not the same. I don't care what you learn in economics. Free enterprise is not capitalism. There's nothing free enterprisey about capitalism. Such assessments are characteristics of much of the response Harris' plan has received from talking heads, newspaper columnists, and editorial boards, GOP lawmakers, and established economists. Senator Tom Cotton, whose home state has an anti-price gouging law on the books, claimed Harris' plan would result in breadlines. Damn fool. And while the Washington Post editorial board and other critics of Harris' plan simply asserted that price gouging is not causing inflation, recent survey data shows that U.S. voters blame large corporations for taking advantage of inflation to drive prices up. But that's wrong. They're not taking advantage of inflation. They are causing inflation. I repeat, the inflation that we have is based on 100%, not half a percent, not 50%. 100% of inflation is caused by corporations. And we can prove that numerically. People. A groundwork report released earlier this year. No, hold on a second. No, it's not opinion. It's a statement of fact. The only people have pricing power on these items are corporations. And since there was no supply shortage on all these things, that means they made that choice. And since that their profits went up sky high, very commensurate with the increase in prices, that's what caused it. All right. On top of proposing the first ever federal ban on price gouging in food and grocery sectors, Harris is calling for clear rules of the road to make clear that big corporations can't unfairly exploit consumers to run up excessive profits on food and groceries, as well as new authority for the Federal Trade Commission and state attorneys general to investigate and impose strict new penalties on companies that break the rules. As president, I will go after the bad actors, Harris said during a Friday rally in North Carolina. My plan will include new penalties for opportunistic companies that exploit crises and break the rules. And we will support smaller food businesses that are trying to play by the rules and get ahead. That is similar to what the farmer that I had on said. Okay, the only source of inflation is printing money, which is government. That is the most ridiculous statement I have ever heard. And look, I have to address that. I have to address that because I don't want my listenership to get dumb. Mike Cisak made a statement that is in the chat room that I have got to correct. His most uneducated statement said the following. The only source of inflation is printing money, which is government. That is the most asinine. I love you, brother, but that is the most asinine statement. Let's just show you mathematically. The fact is supply and when you don't have collusion, when you don't have companies abusing the system by creating false shortages and having pricing power because of monopoly, etc., here is what happens. If you have money in the market, right, and you have a product, the product cost, when a company is developing a product, they know what the basal cost of that product is. Okay? They know the basal of that product. And they decide a profit margin that they want that is acceptable to the company, etc. So they put a set price out there. They then throw that device on the market. Now, if they have If they are making enough of that device, they set a price, and they're making the amount of that device commensurate with what the market says it wants. So let's say I'm making Camaro's car, and I know that the market for Camaro is about 100,000 people a year. I make 100,000 Camaros. And at the fixed price that I want, that's what people buy it at. Okay. Now, I heard a rumor that the government printed a lot of money. All right. So what I do, or gave people a lot of money. So what I do then is I double the price of my Camaro to take that money that I know you have. But guess what? People like the Camaro, but they're not in love with the Camaro. So what they'll go do is they will go buy another brand of a car. There's competition, like I said, in the true free market. If there are not shortages, prices should not increase. Now, when Mike Cisak says that only printing money causes inflation, it is silly, and it's even silly based on what he has said before. If you believe that the supply chain, which he said before, he said Biden was responsible for the supply chain, and by being responsible for the supply chain, it caused inflation. I can find old messages that Brother Cisak said about that, and he's right. If you have a supply chain problem for products that people must have, then people are going to pay extra to get that product for those people who have that money. And that extra that they will pay is implied inflation, right? And how does that work? Let's say I'm buying something at a fixed cost, but some other people want it. I may go ahead and buy it at the price that company wants to do it, and then I resell it at a higher price. That's one level of inflation. The level of inflation can be on the producer side or on the consumer side. There are several sides of the of that equation. It normally hits the consumer side sort of first in for shortages, right? Because again, that guy who has contracts with the producer will actually see the market before the producer sees it. So again, this show isn't a show of dummies. This program isn't a program where people don't know economics or people don't have brains. So when people come and they put crap out here from Newswire, or Mike Cisak make a silly statement like the government printing money creates inflation. Yeah, the government gave the people a lot of money. Because they gave them money, was that justified for oil prices to go up? No, the companies chose to increase the oil prices. Okay, it chose to increase the oil prices. So anyway, folks, uh, it is important that you see that. I am glad that Mike Cisak said that. I'm glad that Eric Hayes brought the crap he brings from Newswire, because what it does is it gives, for the people that are listening to this on podcasts and elsewhere, they know where not to go and they know what not to believe. So every time you see an article from Newswire, don't even bother reading it. It's crap. Assume that it's crap. Don't read it, because you're going to spend most of your time fact checking to find out they're wrong. Secondly, when you have somebody who knows nothing about economics, go ahead and forget it. I think it's it. What is it? What is it? Newswire, whatever it was that Eric used, whatever that website is that he used. I think it's Newswire. Let me make sure and see what it is. What is it? I want to make sure and tell people what not to use. Uh, let's see. Daily Wire, not Newswire. Daily Wire. I'm sorry. Daily Wire. Daily Wire. Uh, do not even bother reading Daily Wire. Anytime you see Eric or anybody put a link from Daily Wire in there, ignore the damn link. Don't even read it. Michael Rudnin, don't waste your time. Okay? Don't waste your time. It's Daily Wire. Do not waste your time. When Mike Cisak says something silly, if he writes it down like he did, leave it to me to go ahead and re-explain that thing, because as it turns out, I want to keep the composure. But again, this is not a show of bloviation, dummies, or where you can actually spin right wing crap and think it's gonna, you know, somehow get out there. We're too smart for that out here. All right, Egberto, we don't read the crap anymore. Almost everyone blocked them. Okay. Michael Reb said, Egberto, if you see my initial comment to Eric, I told him the Daily Wire was rag and told him, yeah, you did say that. You did say it. But yeah, don't even bother reading that, because 90% of that is crap. And you don't, they put just enough information to get a mixed review, but most of what they put there is crap. There we go. Inflation. Let's see who you really are. Corporate greed. That is a great one, Breach. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Strigan Bergen Greek. I've never heard of it either. And good for you. Good for you. All right. So don't forget, Daily Wire, disregard completely. Anybody, let me give you some formats here. If you hear somebody quoting Fox News, if you hear somebody quoting AON, if you hear somebody calling Newsmax, if you hear them calling Daily Wire or any one of these rags, they're worse than propaganda machines. They're actually created to make you dumb. And I am not playing when I say that. The goal is to make you dumb so they can control your mind. And as you can see, they've done a good job so far with my brother Mike Cesak's mind. They've done a good job so far with my brother Eric Hayes's mind as well. But they still come here, so I imagine that they're still yearning for truth. But anyhow, folks, we're at the end of the program. I didn't realize it was that close. Anyway, please support the program. How can you support the program? You can support the program in one of many ways. The first way is to visit become a paid subscriber of our page. How do you do that? You can become a paid subscriber of our newsletter by going to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter and choose a paid option. politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. I would hope that many of you will take us up on that. We really need the support to keep doing what we're doing. You can also decide that you want to become a Patreon, and becoming a Patreon comes with good benefits as well. Or you can find out all the different ways to support us, which can be found at politicsdoneright.com/support. But my brothers and sisters, right now I'm trying to get several hundred supporters. It's not going very well this week for my newsletter. So please go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. And we'll do a good job. Get good highlights from DNC. I was supposed to be there. I just couldn't afford it this year. And I didn't want to come to the group and say, hey, a GoFundMe for the DNC and a GoFundMe for the Netroots. So I had good supporters for Netroots and Bruce and a couple of others that said, we'll subsidize your trip to Netroots. But I didn't want to just come and do a big thing out there. So anyhow, I got to get out of here. Please, again, support the program by subscribing to the newsletter, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out. Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies.
Let us engage. It is politics done right.